So you've done everything and you're now ready for the interview document wise. Now, when you get to the interview, why is it an interview? They want to go ask you questions regarding your relationship, regarding your partner and their family, just to see that you know each other and you're truly in a genuine relationship. So, here are some sample questions of the interviews. So, this is just a document I came across online. I do a lot of research. So, when I'm doing my research, when I see something important, I just pick it for us to use, okay? So you can see America IR1 questions. So these are the questions. This is for the spousal visas. What is your spouse's full name? How do you spell your spouse's middle name? It's just basically to ensure that you guys know each other. What are your hobbies and interests? Was your spouse married previously? Tell me about your spouse's children. What are your spouse's parents' names? When and how did you meet your spouse? How long have you been corresponding with your spouse? Where do you plan to live in the United States? How long has your spouse lived in their current address? What is your spouse's religious background? Does your spouse speak and understand your language? Has your spouse ever been convicted of a crime? How long has your spouse been in the US? How long have you been together? Does your spouse have any siblings? What are their names? What is your brother's name's wife? What is your brother's name's wife? Huh? Okay, I don't know what she meant by that. When is her birthday? I think your brother's wife, when is her birthday? I honestly don't know that, but you do research, yeah? So it's basically just for them wanting to see that you know each other. So I'll attach these questions in the description box. Please go through it if you have an interview coming up and you can answer them accordingly. Okay. My husband was kind enough to take the questions and then just put answers on all the questions based on our relationship now. So it becomes easier for me to practice because he's put all the answers for me here. So it becomes easier for me for the things that I'm not sure about. He's put the answers. This was very kind of him. He sent me this and I was like, oh, he's helping me prepare for the interview even though he's not around. Yeah, so you can see. Yeah. So just with his answers there. Okay. The other thing I want to show you is we have had people in our group, the spousal group that we have, who have gone for interviews. And I just want to quickly read for you some of the questions that were asked. So, questions were: who is your petitioner? So, what does he do? What he is in his job? I think his title, job title. Where he lives and what's his address. Hey, is this your first marriage? His first marriage. Do you have kids separately? How many kids do you have together? Then he said that I approved your visa and he gave me a green paper. So that's the first. Let's look at another one. This just gives you an idea of the questions that they ask. So this is practically people who have gone in our group, people who have gone for the interview. So the questions here they are: who is your petitioner? How did your husband go to the US? Is this your husband's first marriage? Ask for divorce decree. Have you ever been in trouble with the law, committed a crime? Have you ever served in the military? Do you have children together? Then went sat and waited for like 40 minutes and was called to counter 7. A white guy. This is the second interview. What's your name? What's your husband's name? Do you have children? How did your husband go to the US? Does he have children? How many? Where were they born? What city? You can have your documents back. Did you get the FGM pamphlet? Make sure you read it and understand. I think they were issued their visa as well. I'll give you another final list of people who went for the interview. So these are the questions. How did you meet? Where did you meet? When did you meet? How many times have you met? I see you're married. When were you married? How many babies do you have? I see one of them is his. Is it the last or the first one? How did your husband go to the US? Was he living in the US when you met? Let me see your birth certificate. She asked for wedding pictures too. Wedding pictures, eh? Was your family at the wedding? Was his family at the wedding? Then asked for his IRS transcripts. Which country does he spend most of his time in? I think this is for people who are dual citizens or something, yeah? Then she then said she can say I have two derivative applicants, then advised me on how to expedite. She then asked my passport and cancelled my active tourism visa because she said we are the final phase of IR1, the IR1 one, which is the spouse one. So you can see basically the questions is just getting to be familiar with you they just want to see if you know each other. So what I'll do, like I said, I'll attach these questions in the description box. Just go through them, and then since I'm going for my interview, I'll now tell you the questions that I was asked. So stay tuned. Next, so let's see what questions I was asked. So after we did the security check, we went in, and after like 30 minutes, I was called to counter 9. And this lady, asked for my civil documents, passport, birth certificate, marriage certificate, and birth certificate, passport, marriage certificate. I also gave them the police clearance certificate. And then she started asking me questions like, who is in the US? Of course, I told her, what does he do? Is this his first marriage? Is this also your first marriage to him? Is the child you're carrying his child? Does he have any other kids? How did he go to the US? Yeah, and I answered those questions to the best of my knowledge. I think we've already gone through the questions that they can ask, and you can see it's almost similar. Yeah. So she asked also if I have any criminal records and if my husband has criminal records, and of course, I answered that. Then after that, she gave me a pamphlet about domestic violence, and the rights of immigrants in the US, concerning domestic violence. And she asked me to wait outside as I'm reading that, and they'll call me in a few minutes. And so, of course, stepped outside and I sat and waited. So after like 20 minutes, I was called again to counter another window now. And now this time round, it was a Muzungu guy, a white guy who was asking the questions. He asked what my name is, who is in the US, how we met, when we met, is this our first marriage, do we have kids together, is the child I'm carrying his child. He also asked for our son's documents. Then he asked how many times we've met physically with my husband now that we met online. I told him that. He asked if we have any criminal records, if I've been in any problem with the police, and I said no. So I'd applied for a visit visa in 2019, but through my auntie. So he asked about that. He asked if I'd gone to visit my husband, and I was like, no. But had you met by the time you're applying the visit visa? I said yes. So they have all these records in the system. You don't dare lie. Just speak the truth. Where my husband lives, he asked where my husband lived. Yeah, and then from there, he started, making some few notes on his laptop.